Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Julie from StoryADay here, coming to you from September 2023, just in time for the StoryADay September challenge, which I'm going to be inviting you to consider taking part in. But first I want to talk about this month's theme here at StoryADay, which is engage. Now, I've broken the writing life up into different buckets, and I use this iWriter acronym to talk about them. Sometimes we're talking about the imagination part of writing. Sometimes we're talking about the W, the write. Then sometimes it's about refining things. Sometimes it's about improving. Last month I was talking a lot about triumph, celebrating, all of that stuff. This month I'm going to be talking about engaging in various different ways, engaging with your writing, with your identity as a writer, engaging with readers, making your stories engaging to readers, maybe engaging with the wider world of publishing or with the wider public. But I do want to encourage you to ignore anything I say that makes you feel bad or less inclined to write. And I want to really encourage you, whenever you're listening to somebody talking about writing, to ignore them if they may say anything that makes you feel bad about your writing. Unless it's doing that thing where it's just echoing something in your brain where you're like, I should be doing more. I want to be doing more. Maybe I need a little nudge. That's fine. But anyone who makes you feel like you're out of your depth or that you don't have what it takes to be a writer, I want you to just ignore them. Consider that they are not talking to you. Every writer is at a different stage, and every piece of advice is applicable to a different stage of a writing journey. There are people who are fully journaling and writing little stories for their kids who have no ambition to get those things published, who have no ambition to win prizes, to share them with the wider world. There are people who've been writing for a while who really do want to be in that world of publishing. There are people who are writing who are in that world of being published, and they want to get better and they want to make more money and win more prizes. And those two things don't necessarily always go together. So everybody is at different stages, and I want you to consider, as you engage with your identity as a writer and your practice as a writer, that you do not need to progress through those stages in any way, shape, or form. You don't need to do it at all. You don't need to do it in a logical way. There is no one right. If you are writing and if you are nurturing your identity as a writer, then you are contributing to the world in your own way because you are becoming a better person. You're probably more enjoyable to be around. You're probably more insightful. You're probably more empathetic because you are engaged with your writing. You're thinking about connecting with people. You are thinking about understanding people. You're thinking about processing the world through this facility that you have for words. So I want to encourage you to think this week about engaging with your identity as a writer and what that means for you. If you are not writing enough, there are ways that you can deepen that connection with yourself as a writer. As I say, next week, we are going to talk more about engaging with readers, both in terms of the craft of making your stories more engaging to readers, and also thinking about how to engage with them as an audience. The following week, we will be talking about engaging with the wider world of publishing. But I do want you to bear in mind that you may not be at the stage where either of those ideas are relevant to you. You may choose never to be at those stages, and that's okay. You don't need to. You can be happy as a writer wherever it makes you happy. You can be happy as a writer in a place where it makes you slightly unhappy because you're ambitious to get to the next stage. Or you can simply enjoy playing in the sandbox. I have a friend who's just completed a marathon trip who was telling me what a difference it made to her to follow my advice to write about what she was going through and to think about how to describe places that she'd been and the experiences she was having. And I was really touched because she said, thank you for that, because I engaged with my travel and my journey in a way that was completely different. It wasn't relying on somebody else's recollections of it. I wasn't relying just on the photos that I took. I was actually sitting down and processing what I'd been through each day and capturing things and thinking about how to express them. And so I was processing my experiences different and engaging with that trip in a way that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So she was, and this is not someone who considers herself a writer. It's not someone who has any ambition to publish a memoir of this trip and rise up the New York Times bestseller ranks. But the value she got from writing was real and worthy. And I'm absolutely delighted to have encouraged her to have that experience. So please consider where you are in your writing journey and what you might want to achieve, and leave doors open, right? Maybe you want to publish one day, maybe you don't. Maybe you know the answer to that question already. You don't. So if you are in the beginning stages of your writing journey, or you could be later, and you're just not engaged with your actual writing very much at the moment, and you want to get back, there's a few things that I would suggest. One is simply to read more. So read things that you enjoy. Read the stuff that lights you up. Read the stuff that you would hide behind a copy of War and Peace if anyone impressive came along. Read all of that stuff. We can make much more time in our day for reading if every time you pick up your phone and start to open something like Instagram or a podcast app or Facebook or Threads or wherever you're spending your time, instead of that, open up your Kindle, open up PDF that you downloaded years ago from an author. Or you get yourself an e-reader so that you can have that nice e-ink screen and read outside. Carry a paperback with you everywhere you go. And instead of obsessing about the headlines or looking at the supermarket tabloids, pull out your paperback and read while you're in line. Read while you are waiting for stuff to happen. We can read the way that we used to read when we were kids. And that's going to help you to re-engage with your identity as a writer. Because if you're a big reader and you have an enjoyment of writing, reading more is going to make you want to write more. So that's idea number one. If you are just not engaged with your writing as much as you would like to be. Idea number two is to take a workshop. You can come over to StoryADay.org/shop. And I've got some workshops there for you. I'm going to be doing more pop-up workshops throughout the year, this year of 2023-24. So watch your email if you're on my list, and watch your email for a survey about when you would like those to happen, because I really want to do them live as much as possible. There will be recordings, but I've got this back catalogue of workshops that I've been doing with a small number of people over the years, last 5 years or so. And I see what people are getting out of them. So I want to do those in a more public way. And I want to make them available to you guys in this kind of one-off form where you're not committing to too much. You're not biting off more than you can chew. But maybe once a month I say, hey, 90 minutes, let's do it. Let's sit down and do some writing together. We're going to look at this topic. And that's a way for you to engage with your writing without having to make a huge commitment to it. For example, the StoryADay Challenge, which is coming up. So think about taking workshops either from me or from someone else that you follow. Just keep your eye out for that kind of thing and think about it as just having these little bites that will reconnect you frequently with your writing. Because I think that's important, to not go too long and not let guilt build up about the fact that you're not writing, because that's just not helpful. Here's a counterintuitive idea if you are not feeling engaged with your writing. And every time you sit down to write, you somehow can't do it. I'm going to suggest that you carve out an hour, and maybe it'll be this coming Saturday when I'm going to invite you, the wider community, to come to a writing sprint. It'll be at 10 a.m. Eastern US time, which is 7 a.m. California, 2 p.m. Britain, 3 p.m. Europe, middle of the night Australia. Sorry about that. But I'm going to invite you to come and sit and write with us. We just do these writing sprints in my StoryADay Superstars group where we just get together and write. And it's a Zoom call and we just kind of mute ourselves and co-work. We do parallel play like toddlers. And it's incredibly effective. Behavioral scientists and neurologists are looking into this and they're like, oh yeah, this is real. This isn't actually made up. People do work better when they're working together. So I'm going to invite you to some of those. And here's the counterintuitive part of it. Consider using that time to not write, to instead knock off a bunch of tasks pop up in your head every time you try and sit down to write. John Cleese, the comedian, talks about this. He talks about the first third of any time he sets aside for creative work, writing, trying to get stuff done, is usually just his brain going, you should make an appointment with a dentist. You should call your doctor. You should book someone you should clean your gutters, whatever. All these things that we need to do pop up. You should write a letter to your grandmother. So all of these things that pop up, keep an eye out for them during the week. Every time you think I should be writing and something else goes, oh, but you need to do this first. Keep a list of it and consider taking an hour to knock off all of those things, or at least as many of those things as you can. Make all those calls you don't want to make, your grocery list. Just take an hour of writing time to clear out some of the things that need to be done. And in the next hour of writing time that you set aside for yourself, you can say to your brain, when it provides all these things, because we're just going to keep a list now, and I'm going to get back to writing. Because I already attended to some of this stuff. Let's chill. So instead of constantly, day after day, sitting down to write and getting distracted by stuff, take some time, call it writing time, to clear a path for yourself to your desk mentally. And give yourself credit for that as part of your writing practice. You're not avoiding writing, you're clearing the path. A little counterintuitive, but I think if you do that and then also come back to your desk and do some writing on another day, you get to give yourself credit for both of those things. Another way that you can stay connected to your writing is to journal. Just journal. But try and do focused journaling about what writing means to you, about how you feel when you finish a piece, about why you want to write. And consider the voices that don't belong to you. The people who say to you, when's that bestseller coming? Consider journaling about that and saying, you know what, that's not what it's about for me. Yet. Maybe ever. And here's what I might say to that person next time they ask. And journal about some of that stuff. Take some time to generate story ideas. Carry a little notebook with you. It doesn't actually matter what you do with these notes afterwards. People will often say to me, oh, I keep all these notes, but how do you retrieve them? I'm like, let's start by keeping them. Let's start by noticing things about the world that you might use in a story. I call them story sparks. I don't actually care if you retrieve them or have a good filing system for them or ever look at them again. It can be fun to go through a bunch of notes, but quite often when you don't actually know what they mean. But training your brain to look at the world as a writer can be good. Now, if you do have story ideas that come to you, which are different from sparks, story sparks are just details about the world. If you have an idea for a story, what if I did write a story about elephants in a graveyard? If you have an idea about elephants in a graveyard, you can write that down and you can write it somewhere where you can retrieve it later so that when you have a day when you can sit down and write, you can leaf through those kinds of ideas. But again, there's no one right way to do this. Another way that you can stay engaged with your writing is to seek out other writers and talk to them. Talk to them about writing. Sit down and write with them. Give yourselves a prompt and a timer and write together. Like I say, StoryADay September is happening right now. You can sign up. You come over to storyaday.org, put your name in the box at the top of the page there. I will send you all of the prompts from StoryADay 2023, and it'll actually start the day that you sign up. So at this point, if you signed up before September the 1st, you would start on September the 1st. From this point onwards, you're just going to start when you sign up, and then you're going to go through the next 31 days. So you might be out of sync with other people who are writing, But one of the ways that you can engage with other writers is to come to the blog at StoryADay. So follow the links. Once you've signed up for the challenge, follow the links to that day's prompt and leave a comment for people. Leave a comment when you write. Leave a comment on days when you don't write. Confess, get it out of your system, and then just keep moving. So in terms of the challenge, which has happened, I do want to invite you to consider taking part in that. If you're in a place where you want to be writing more and you have the ability to carve out some time, and all of these other things that I've talked about aren't exciting you. If other things that I'm talking about give you permission to engage with yourself as a writer in a way that's manageable for you right now, maybe even a little challenging for you right now, do one of those. If that doesn't sound challenging enough and you're ready to get the pencil on the paper, consider signing up for the StoryADay challenge at storyaday.org. Make your own rules. This is the one rule about StoryADay. Actually, there's two rules. The one is start and finish a story on a day when you write. The other rule is make your own rules. You actually don't have to write a story a day. But on the days that you do, try and finish the story. Make your own rules and stick to them. If you're going to write once a week, fine. Just come back every week for 4 and a bit weeks. If you're going to write 3 times a week, fine. But if you miss a day, don't worry about it. Keep moving. Just give yourself this 30-day or 31-day container to assess, to push yourself. And then at the end of the 31 days, assess how it went. Don't worry while you're in the thick of it, how it's going. I guess that's another rule for StoryADay. I guess I've got 3 rules. Write and finish a story a day, make your own rules, and just keep moving with the creative stuff and don't edit yourself while you're going through it. Don't edit the stories, don't edit yourself. And by don't edit yourself, don't stop and judge how anything is going. You will think that you're writing really dreadful stories. You will think that you are failing. You will think that this is too hard and you can't continue. But if you keep going to the end of the month, that's when you can get some real perspective on what you actually did. That's when you can go, you know what? I thought I was writing terrible stories. That one on day 4 wasn't bad. I could do something with it. Or you'll think, I can't possibly finish. And then you get to the end and you've finished, which tells you that you can do it again. The lessons that come from a challenge like this don't become apparent in the challenge, so don't stop and look for them. Don't waste time wondering what you're getting out of the challenge while you're going through it. It's challenging. It's going to be hard. It's not always going to be fun. And you can't be objective about something that you're going through at the time. So that's my other suggested rule for you, is that you will just stick to your commitments. And you could go from week to week. You can change your commitments from week to week, but stick with it for the 31 days and promise yourself that you're not going to make any judgments about what it means about you as a writer until you get to the end of the 31 days. And then you can fill in the keep writing or you can fill in any of the worksheets that I will send you. I'll send you a worksheet at the end to help you assess what you went through this past month. So that's what I have for you this week. Engage with your writing in some form, whether it's a big challenge like StoryADay, or whether it's simply committing to reading more for this month, whether it is engaging with other writers, whether it is coming up with story ideas, whether it is knocking off a bunch of tasks that are getting in your way to free up some time for yourself for later. Make a conscious decision to engage with your writing this month. I'll be back next week with some more ideas for you. Meantime, have a great creative week and keep writing.